He loves gold. He loves gold. But diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me. They can't stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me. Diamonds are forever. Hold one up and then caress it. Touch it, stroke it and undress it. I can see every part. Nothing hides in the heart to hurt me. I don't need love. For what good will love do me? Diamonds never lie to me. For when love's gone, they'll luster on. Diamonds are forever, sparkling round my little finger. Unlike men, the diamonds linger.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to a very special pop-up edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating today? I'm celebrating Diane D'Angelo, who I am going to be seeing on Thursday night, and I cannot wait. I am going to be at Chelsea Tables and Chairs. It's a joke, but you know where I'll be. She'll explain later when she comes on. But that's one of my favorite cabaret rooms to go to in New York. And there are so many great rooms to go to. I have not been to a movie in forever. I'm going tomorrow night to see Superman, and I cannot wait to share that experience with people in the dark that I don't know. And I am also very excited about so many things that each of our guests have going on in their lives today. So today, the theme of our show is environment. What exactly does the environment mean to you? It could be the political environment. It could be what's going on in your private life and how that affects your work. It could be the very space that you're in. This is my safe space. I love my office. I love what I'm able to create here. And on those days where it seems like the entire world is crashing down around me, being in this safe space is good for me. So we're going to find out what all of that means for all of our guests. Nobody knows who I'm going to pull up first. I'm going to push a number and we'll see who the first person is. And there he is.
It's me.
Sean Patrick Murdoch. It's you. So before we jump into what's going on in your life, who or what are you celebrating today?
You know, I'm celebrating two people who are much part of my environment as an artist. So I want to give a shout out to Marty Millett, who's one of my best friends. And
I love her.
She's amazing. And Joan Ryan, who is a newer friend of mine out here in LA. And this week, life is imitating art, or art is imitating life. And I'm working at a bar that is very physically demanding and exhausting. And I reached like a burnout point, and I almost skipped an audition this week because of them, because of this job. And so I reached out to Marty and wanted permission to skip the audition and put my feet up. And she said, yeah, no, I feel like you have to go. I had all these excuses, like, I'm not that good anyway, and da-da-da-da-da. And she said, yeah, no, I feel like you have to go. And I was like, well, that's not why I called you. So I called Joan, so that way she would give me permission to skip this audition. And then she said, yeah, no, not only did she talk me off the ledge, she coached me on my monologue for 20 minutes over the phone and got me to go to this audition. And I had such a wonderful experience at that audition that I almost skipped. And I realized, you know, the whole point of me working in the hospitality industry is to supplement this dream. And if I'm not putting in the work to make the dream come true, then what am I doing this job for? And so these two ladies turned my world around and helped me get back on track with my goals. And so I've just been filled with so much gratitude all week because they not only believed in me, but they helped me get to where I needed to be to believe in myself.
God bless them. I was thinking about you yesterday because I was watching The View, and they were doing a segment on the grimmest job that you've ever had. And Sunny Hostin and one other, they were both talking about working as waitresses and how much they both hated those jobs because there's so many things happening and swirling around you. And you have this great podcast called Tough Shift. So yes, which I have had the pleasure of being on, and I love these because all of us who've waited tables, all of us who've been in the hospitality industry, and face it, folks, every person on the show today, every person watching the show, whether you believe it or not, you are in the hospitality industry.
Amen.
And a lot of people don't get that. And I don't think that you and I really talked about this from this angle, but what was the impetus that gave you that light bulb that you said, this is what I want to put into a podcast?
So, I moved to LA at the beginning of the strike in Hollywood, and we're still recovering from that. And I have been working in this industry, I say 105 years, but for a long time. And I really have had the pleasure of meeting some of the most talented human beings in my life, like accomplished, like Broadway, national tours, albums, you name it, they've performed at the Joyce Theater, they've danced with all these amazing people. And here we are getting berated by clients. We're being spoken down to by management. And it's like, do you have any idea just how much talent that person has in their pinky? And that's the way you're speaking to them? Like, they're here for a reason. So I wanted to I would say, bring in a little humanity to the person behind the apron, to just kind of like, this is what we're doing. We're unpacking the stereotype, because like, whenever it's like, oh, you're a waiter, so you're an aspiring actor, or if they like, you're an actor, oh, so where do you wait tables? And it's, it's a true stereotype, but it's also so condescending to speak to people that way, especially when you don't know them. If we know each other and we're ribbing each other and joking around, that's one thing. But for complete strangers to make judgments on my life and my accomplishments, it's like, yes, I'm here making you a dirty martini, but I've headlined at Lincoln Center. I've won all these awards. I've done so. I've had people in the palm of my hand, and this is the way you're speaking. What have you done? So if you want to play this game, tell me how you're doing at your office job. Tell me how you're doing X wherever you are. And so it became this thing to where it's like, I'm not going to reprimand people. I'm not going to speak down to people, but I want to share the gifts that are surrounding, and not just in a restaurant, but like, open your eyes. You don't know who you're standing next to in the subway. You don't know who you're in line with at the deli. Like, there are amazing people with amazing talents you would never assume standing right next to you. And so just to kind of help people like look at the world around them and appreciate all that's there, the talent and the humanity and the beauty that's in this world.
I want to go a step further. That's true of every single person you encounter every single day of your lives. Joan Crawford once said, be nice to everyone you come in contact with, because the person sweeping the floor today could be running the studio tomorrow. And a friend of mine went a step further and said, and the person running the studio today could be sweeping floors tomorrow. So be nice. I want to bring on our next guest, but before we do, I've got a question for you based on our theme today. How would you describe the environment, physical, emotional, or cultural, that most nurtures your creativity? And what do you seek out, or what do you avoid? And I want to add another layer to that question. You've lived in LA and you've lived in New York. What are the pluses and minuses of each of these environments as far as you're concerned?
So with New York, I'm originally from San Francisco, and I never had eyes on New York before I got there. And New York made me better at everything. The environment is so charged, and everyone coming from New York is good. They're the cream of the crop in their hometowns, whatever field, whether it's Broadway, finances, whatever field you're going into, everyone is at the top of their game back home. So that's the baseline. Everyone is good. So in New York, you need to be better than good. You need to be constantly, and that's not like, it's a competition, but it is staying on top of your game and constantly improving your skill set and honing in on your talent. And so New York, that charge, that energy really pushed me to be like, oh, okay, you would have been comfortable in San Francisco, but you would not have achieved this. You would not have gotten to where you are today. And so I appreciate that about New York. Having left New York, my first 2 weeks in Los Angeles, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? Because I wasn't used to the calm, like just how relaxing life can be. Because New York, no matter if you're going out to get a carton of milk or you're going out to see a show, it is just like energetically being beaten over the head over and over. And it's like, I'm just getting an apple. And so when I got here and it was so quiet, there was no bachata playing outside my window until 3 a.m. in the morning. I didn't know how to be calm and have that weight lifted off my shoulders. And so there's this thing, the unplugging that is LA. Like I get to my home and I'm unplugged. I'm not still overwhelmed. So it's kind of this balance to where it's like I have this time to relax and actually recover, but I don't have that charge that New York has that like gets you out. So it's kind of like creating my own charge here to keeping New York in my heart, to keep me going, like, and much like reaching out to my two friends to be like, no, you need to go to the audition, because there's not as many auditions for theater in LA as there are in New York. So go. So it's kind of creating that environment for what you need, what I needed from New York, what I needed from San Francisco, and what I have in love here now in Los Angeles.
And thank God you have someone to share that with.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, you do. So you're going to help us bring on our next guest. There are 4 guests waiting in the wings, 1 through 4. Pick a number and we'll bring them on.
I'm going to say number 2.
And that is, well, and he'll know that I'm bringing him on. Today, I got this in the mail, The Voice of MGM, Judy Garland. This book, I've already been looking through it and I cannot wait. I love this guy because he lives what I am to Carol Channing, what Carol Channing is to me. He is to Judy Garland, and that's Scott Brogan. So, Scott, welcome to the show.
Hello.
I want to ask you, you can build upon anything that we've just talked about, or you can take us in a completely different direction.
Great. Well, Richard, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. This is my second time on the show, and I'm very excited because I had so much fun the first time, and I made new friends. So I hope to do that again. But actually, one thing that you guys were talking about, which I thought is so true, is you don't know what's going on with the person standing next to you on the subway or on the street or whatever, and whether they're in show business or not. We don't know what struggles they're experiencing, because we're always so wrapped up in our own little bubble. So I'm glad that you guys pointed that out. And Sean, I really liked what you had to say on that.
So let's talk about what you've been up to. You told me about this book, I think 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and we're talking about environment today. You talk, Judy Garland, first of all, I can't think of any other artist that is so universally known so many years after they've passed on.
Oh, sure.
I hear her music every day. Her movies are on, thank God, for TCM. You are really daily chronicling her life day by day. What have you learned about yourself through the work that you've done chronicling her life?
What have I learned about myself?
Yes.
Actually, I've learned I've learned to be a little more patient, and I've learned to well, that's not really about myself. I mean, going through when I started the blog series, which is what eventually led to the book, is I was going through, like you said, day by day as far as what was going on in her life in any given year on that particular date. And I found so much more information, and I was so excited to be able to share that info on the blog, because so many more archives have become available, not just online, but just available generally speaking. So as far as what I've learned for myself is, like I said, patience, because I'm always, I don't know if it's just because of being in the 9-to-5 workplace for so long. I want to get everything done. I want it all done right now, like super fast. And I've learned to be able to step back and kind of see the forest for the trees, for lack of a better term. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Well, I want to ask you this question before we bring on our next guest, and we're going to stick around because we're going to have questions for all of you at the end of the show. But has a change in your environment ever completely shifted your artistic perspective or output? And can you share a moment when the location or setting changed your art or your work?
Well, that would probably be our big move from San Francisco, Sean. We lived there for 21 years, and we moved and loved it and hated it at the same time, typical city, big city. And so we went Midwest to Kansas City, Missouri, partly because of COVID and partly for family. I have family here. But that actually helped me to be able to focus on starting to really focus on work on the book, actually, because now we live like kind of in a semi-suburbia. We're not like fully out in the burbs, but we're kind of in that sort of in between the burbs and the city kind of thing. So I think that helped me be able to kind of hunker down and actually start working towards what became the book. So that was, what was the second part of the question?
If it's added to your work, or any detractions from the work that you do.
Any what?
A change of environment.
Oh, any distractions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, with the work that I do, there aren't a lot of distractions, because I just hold myself up in the office here, which is where I am right now. And that's why I have the background on, because it's a little messy behind me, because I have all the boxes and stuff because of the book.
Look at mine. Yeah.
I'm hiding everything. But no, actually, it's a very positive environment for me right now. And when you asked about what does the word environment, my first thought is the environment, meaning the world and the plastic in the ocean and all of that I stress out about that more than I do about my own environment, just because I've always been interested in that, for lack of a better term. Even back in the 80s, when they started sounding the call and saying, hey, in 30-40 years this is going to be happening, and I tried to get where I worked, I tried to get them to start recycling all this paper that we were just throwing away. And they were like, oh, who cares, blah, blah, blah. But the shift, in how we treat our environment, meaning worldwide environment, has been a positive and a negative because of the current administration, if I could say that. But so that's what I thought you meant at first when you said environment. I automatically go to like the trees and the ocean and, all of that.
No, they're important. Absolutely important.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring on our next guest. Now, this is the Monty Hall moment. Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
It's like, let's make a deal.
Yeah.
Let's do number 3.
And that is my dear friend, Tess La Bella.
Hi.
Tess, I am so glad that you're here. I mean, and we're going to go into a completely different direction.
Okay.
You're down in Florida.
I am. But first, thank you so much for having me. And I loved listening to Scott and Sean. And I am really so inspired by the things that you're saying that I almost forgot that I had to be on the show. But it's just like, I'm always and you know this, Richard, I've been a Judy Garland, Wizard of Oz, everything, the shoes, the whole thing. And we all have a witch chasing after us at some form in our life, do we not? Whether it's a bill collector or a nasty boss. But still, that being said, I am in paradise down here. I'm in Palm Beach County. Talk about an environment. I think now I'm a Jersey girl, as you can hear.
Mhm.
And I got my start in New York in stunts, believe it or not. I'm a voiceover, a published author of a children's book, Mary Witchmas, with my dear friend Petrell. But I still miss Jersey and the things that are familiar from when I grew up. But when I switched to this environment, people that know me for 40 some years can't believe the change in my personality. And creatively, I don't say that I've changed from this goofball that I am. I'm just saying creatively, something happened down here to me that I don't think if I had stayed in Jersey that I would have. Whether it's the opportunity or the peaceful environment, I'm not sure. But I think everything has something to do with destiny, right?
Well, let me ask you this. I know your incredible husband, Freddie
Oh, I
Love.
was just going to mention my Dr. Freddie Love.
Yes.
Hunker Burnin' Freddie Love.
Yes. Yes. So did you meet Freddie in New Jersey or was it in Florida?
This is such a long story. I met Fred when I was on a work study program, and he was the dentist that I had to go to do this work study program. Dental. And I remembered Mr. Funchin, he was the guidance counselor. And I said, do you not know me that I skeeve everything? You're going to put me in a dental office where I'm going to be looking at everybody's mouth? Why would you do this to me? It was my own fault because I was supposed to go and pick and I just was procrastinating. But I'll tell you something. He taught me, you want to talk about who you're celebrating today? I'd like to celebrate him. He taught me how to read x-rays. He taught me the function of the dental office. He taught me how to fill out insurance forms, how to be an assistant. I mean, he just taught me at such a young age how to show up, how to be professional, how to be dedicated and devoted to what you're doing, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. You must have that skill set in order to succeed in anything that you do. Mm-hmm. That is what he taught me. That is what I believe to this day. That is what I taught my children.
Well, but did you meet him in New Jersey?
I met him in New Jersey.
Okay.
And because, life happens, he was married, I was married. And many, many, many years later, we got together and moved. Well, he was already here in Florida while I was in New Jersey. So I came down here and my daughter Rita wanted to go to school and life just happened. Wow. And I'm grateful that we got a second chance to be together.
Well, that's great. Well, I've got a question for you, and then we're going to bring on our next guest.
Sure.
And the question for you is, how do world events or social environments influence the themes or urgency in your work? And do you feel that your art responds to the world or offers an escape from it?
Okay, I'll go with the escape. Coming down here to Florida brought many opportunities for all the things that I love, like the cabaret and the incredible people down here that perform, like Chris Atoro. Can I say him?
Yes.
Mr. Palm Beach, Rob Russell, Jill and Rich Schweitzer, who are back on Legends Radio in the morning. Meeting those people, Avery Summer, all of those people that bring such passion to their careers and to their livelihood and what they stand for and what they do, inspired the heck out of me to do my voiceover work, my storytelling. When you're surrounded by like-minded people, it's very easy to, it's just easy to get ideas. So I think that this environment was just a destiny for me. And why I say escape is because when you're a storyteller, you're escaping. When you're reading a book, you're escaping. It's the greatest travel, isn't it? It's the greatest travel plans. Pick up a book.
So speaking of which, I want to mention to everyone, go to Amazon and look up Merry Witchmas.
Thanks, Richard.
And Merry Witchmas is what happens when a witch meets Santa, who doesn't believe in Santa Claus, meets Santa Claus, and Santa Claus doesn't believe in witches. So it's a very interesting, wonderful book.
Thank you.
And before you know it, it'll be Halloween. And then before you blink again, it's Christmas.
Right.
Give the book to a friend. So, Tess, there are two guests in the wings.
Okay.
One or two.
Okay. One.
And this is David Van Dusen.
David.
And this man is, I mean, we talk about Oz and Merry Witchmas and the work that Sean does. David keeps New Rochelle alive. What famous sitcom, everyone, takes place in New Rochelle?
Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke. You get the prize.
Robin Laura Petrie.
And David, you keep this alive, and you've got an event coming up in a few weeks with Larry Matthews.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed everybody's conversation so far, so I hope I can contribute just as much.
But you live in Albany. You don't live in New Rochelle. How similar is Albany to New Rochelle?
Well, I'm an upstate New York boy all of my life, all 65 years of them. But as you noted, New Rochelle basically got put on the map because of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and Carl Reiner actually living there when he was creating the Dick Van Dyke Show, or just before he went to California to create it. I'm a little bit out in the suburbs here, so New Rochelle is a bit more of a city. I have been down to New Rochelle and scoped out a venue. We're going to be hosting an event bringing Larry Matthews, Richie from the West Coast, to New Rochelle in an event I'm sort of calling Welcome Home, Richie Petrie. And it's going to be a celebration not only of the Dick Van Dyke Show, but this is Dick Van Dyke's 100th year. God bless him. And we hope that Dick makes it to December 13th, and we can all celebrate.
He's got to.
So I approached Larry, who's a good friend, and said, what do you think about coming to New Rochelle? And he said, I'd love to do that. So we're going to have quite an event at the library. We're going to screen an episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show. Larry recently discovered that he has color home movies from behind the scenes of the Dick Van Dyke Show. We're going to show those for the very first time in public. We're going to have autographed giveaways for fans and a Q&A for fans, and then an opportunity at the end of the day to view some of my Dick Van Dyke Show memorabilia, and folks will have an opportunity to get some autographs and photos with Larry. So it proves hopefully to be a very special time. And the folks in New Rochelle are very excited about having Larry come and celebrate their town.
Wow, so I think it's incredible. Are you giving walnuts to all of the guests that come?
Well, there will be some surprises, Richard. So what I will tell you is that there was an episode with Larry, wearing a pith helmet. So we will be giving away some autographed pith helmets. We have a box of crummy buttons that we'll also be doing. So it hopefully is going to be a very fun event. That's September 13th at noon at the New Rochelle Public Library. So,
and just to let everyone know, all of these things that we talk about on today's show will all be on the YouTube channel. So all the details will be there. Is Doug Dinoff, is he going to be a part of this?
Doug has said, yes, he's probably going to come up from the city and join. I also understand that Mary Tyler Moore's former assistant may come up and also join in. And I have to approach Bill Persky yet, who is one of the producer writers. Bill's now in his early 90s, so I'm not sure he'll make the trek up from the city, but perhaps can join us virtually somehow or by video. So so all that said, I'd also like to tell fans, so what in publicizing the event in New Rochelle, everybody was all excited and said it's so great, but I live in Iowa, I can't get to New Rochelle, or I live in California, I can't get to New Rochelle. So Larry agreed to also do a live Zoom virtual event, which we're going to do next week on Tuesday evening. So if folks would like to participate in that, there's an opportunity to do that virtually.
How can they get in touch with you, David, to be a part of that?
They can send an email. You're doing the links along the bottom of the page there. So there's a link about the online event that we're doing. Send me an email. We'll get you registered for that. There is a small fee to participate, but it's going to be a very small group of about 20 participants. So it will afford each person the opportunity to engage one-on-one with a cast member from the Dick Van Dyke Show, Larry, ask them questions that they have about the show or his career. And again, we'll give away some prizes for folks that are joining. So it's, we continue to, what am I celebrating today? Today, the Dick Van Dyke Show for sure.
That's great. And Dick Van Dyke. Thank you.
And Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. So we're going to bring Diane on in just a second, but I want to ask you before we do, what role do you feel that community plays in your creative environment? Do you create best in solitude or with the energy of other people around you?
I find my interest, my energy comes from collaborating with others, right? I think that we all find our success by the relationships that we have with each other, right? You could ask me a question and I would never say I'm an expert, but I could probably say, I have somebody who might know that answer, right? And you contact them and maybe they don't know, but they know somebody that you can contact. So I think what I've learned to appreciate in my environment is the fact that everybody has something to offer of value, and you're never sure what that is, but we need to explore that and we need to appreciate that with each other. And our success does come through the value of the relationships that we nurture.
Wow, that's great.
I absolutely agree with that. And I'll tell you, someone who brings a lot to the table, whether it be tables or chairs, and that's Diane.
Hi.
Great opener for us today. So thank you for that.
Thank you. My friend Roger Leon put that together for me, and I was just so tickled pink. And with the gold. First, I'm like, what are those weird gold hair, prayer hands? And he's like, no, it's Goldfinger. I'm like, all right. I don't think I was too young, but I just don't remember the hands.
Let's talk a little bit about your show, which is getting phenomenal reviews. It's called Closing Credits.
Yes.
And it has to do with the songs.
The songs that play at the end of movies. And, you'd mentioned earlier about, you're going to the theater for the first time or the movie theater. And this is when it all happened, sitting in, those last few magic moments in the dark. And I would always wait. So, to see what was coming next. And I loved hearing the songs at the end of movies. So that's what sparked it. I'd done one song, I've done a few times in a few shows. And I thought, well, this was a closing credit song. And so that it started me on that path. But I've had so much fun with the research and just hearing stories from other people too. We talk about how being inspired, like what are you celebrating? And where I find my inspiration too is watching other people, attending shows, being out in the world. But I get my energy in the quiet of my apartment, in the quiet of the park, on a beach, that I need to sit with all of it and let it marinate. But the energy, the crazy energy of this city, I mean, I need those quiet moments to pepper all of that and, bring me back down so I can actually do the work.
Well, those comments very much lead right into the next question that I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Are there specific rituals or spaces that help you ground yourself before creating or performing? And how do you create a safe environment, even in an unfamiliar space?
Wow. Yeah, safety is paramount. Um, one ritual that I do before performance, well, earlier in the day, I go to the park. I commune with nature. I sit with the squirrels. They're talking about walnuts. I have walnuts all the time. And the horses, and and that settles me. And I'm never nervous. I get excited before I'm about to perform, but I don't have nerves. And my happy place is in the light.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, physically and figuratively. Like I want to be in the light. So, yeah. So that I get myself so just calm, and I run my things. I physically move the way I'm supposed to move, and I don't just say. I just run the whole thing, and I do it throughout the city. I can put it on my earbuds on, and I just run it, and I don't care who hears.
I love it. I love it. I mean, thank God that my dog and my cat don't run out of the room when I sing, because I am singing all day long. You know, I have a tenant upstairs, and he says, "I don't need to come see you perform. I've heard you sing."
I sing to the horses now. I get right at the carriages, the horse and carriage, and I'm not crazy about that whole thing, but if I can sit there and talk to them and look them in the eye and sing to them, and we connect, I'm so happy. It's
That's
wonderful.
great. That's great. Well, we're going to go around again, and I'm going to ask each of you, and I'll start with you, Sean. How do you protect your artistic space, mentally, emotionally, or physically, from distraction or negativity? And what boundaries or practices help preserve your creative clarity?
I think one of the biggest things, I love sharing with people. I love sharing my stories. I love sharing what I'm working on. But I think one of the biggest things I've learned is to hold on to what I'm working on until it is time to share it. It's almost like I have never brought a child into this world, but from the experiences I've heard, it's almost like when an expecting mother says the name of the baby and they're like, "Lillian, that's so old fashioned." It's like those things, like you don't say the name of the baby because I don't want the feedback. So I definitely have learned to hold on to my baby, my shows, my projects until they're ready. And it's like, it's already at the gate and I didn't ask for your opinion. So I'm going to protect that. Because it does happen a lot. And when within our community that I love so much, there are sometimes you're at an open mic and you share your song, you share your story, and then immediately afterwards, someone comes up and is telling you what you should be singing, what you shouldn't be singing, and it's just like it's an avalanche of opinions that are not helpful to what I just presented, because
That you didn't ask for.
I've never had that experience. That's interesting.
Have you been to Don't Tell Mama?
I have. But, it's funny that you mentioned name. I saw an interview last week with Lucy Arnaz. And Lucy Arnaz, Lucille Ball wanted to call her Betty. That was going to be her name. And Lucille Ball had just given birth. She was still a little under. And when the nurse came in and said, "Do you have a name?" And Desi Arnaz wrote Lucy Arnaz.
Yeah.
And that's how she got the name. And by the time Lucille Ball came out of what she was, that stupor, Lucy said, "I was already named." So, Scott, I want to ask you, in your experience, how do environments like San Francisco, Kansas, or even Oz influence what comes out of your creativity? And you're muted. Scott? Okay. You're still muted. Scott, I can't hear you. Scott? Hold a second. You're muted, Scott. Tess, let me ask you the same question. And Scott, if you find your voice, shout out. So Tess.
What do you want to ask me?
The question is, in your experience, how do environments like New Jersey or Palm Beach or even a quiet hometown influence what comes out of you creatively?
I think to kind of piggyback, I would say keeping your circle small. I think, Sean, I loved what you said about not announcing until it's there. I had a very long lesson in learning that, because you get so excited and you're ready to share. And I totally love where you went with that. And thank you for confirming that for me. Also, not so much social media. I came off Facebook like 5 years ago. I don't want to do gossip or negativity or anything else like that. And I'm grateful that the circle of friends that I have are all like-minded. Did I miss anything?
No, that's it. And I will say
Okay.
that, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit at the end of the show, how I changed my environment by leaving social media. And to me, Tess was my inspiration because she did it 5 years before I did. But leaving Facebook and Meta was the greatest decision I've ever made. And
Listen, I still enjoy Instagram. I mean, that's where a lot of where I post a lot of my things. I just did a new commercial demo, and that's very helpful for the business. But again, I'll just say, keeping your circle small with trusted people, I think gives you that freedom to, because no, like you said, no one's judging you. Like you said, you didn't ask for an opinion. I love that. Like you said, you confirmed everything that was going on in my page. So thank you for that. So that's what I feel.
And I think when you have that circle and unwanted opinions find their way, it's easy for you to then become a little more Teflon, because like, oh, you're not in the circle. So I'm going to thank you for your submission. And you can go back to the circle. And if you want to ask if that opinion is valid, you have your team.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Mwah, to that.
very, very important. Scott's back here. Scott? We still can't hear you. Somehow you've lost your voice. David, let me ask you, what do you do when your environment is working against you? Whether it's noise, pressure, or chaos, and how do you reclaim your creativity in those moments?
Yeah, I think it's awareness, right? I think you have to be aware of your surroundings, sort of insulate yourself from those things. And I think what I've tried to do is focus on the positive and not the negative, right? What positive comes out of today? What can we be appreciative for today? And there's definitely things that are fighting against us in terms of our world and our challenges. And my wife and I have discussed our current world country situation, and it can be extremely upsetting. But
Oh boy.
No, he's frozen.
Oh,
What's going
boy.
on here? It's the Wicked Witch.
It's fine. I'll take over the question. I'm just kidding.
Okay, Scott?
Well, can I talk about the environment too?
Yes.
And what we have to do as artists is continue to create art,
Yes.
whatever it is. And the more we do, that's what keeps me focused, and whatever it is, right? Are you back, Scott? Oh, I thought he was
Scott, you're muted.
I thought we heard him for a second.
Oh, that's
Okay, there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm having connection issues. It keeps freezing off and on the whole screen.
I think, believe it or not,
perfectly.
Scott, I think the reason you're having the connection issues is because of the green screen behind you.
It's
No.
the tornadic activity.
No, sometimes that will throw things off. It's a StreamYard glitch. So he's frozen. Diane, continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, just about. That's our responsibility in this, the uncertainty. And I don't have my head in the sand. I probably watch more news than I should. I'm on Facebook a lot. I'm trying to get into TikTok. I'm trying to get into, I'm LinkedIn. I'm doing it wherever I can because I was really late to the game. So I am.
Well, I want to ask you, Diane. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Because you and I had a conversation one night.
Yes.
And this is about, speaking of environment, you performing at Burning Man.
I was Ishtar, the goddess of love. I'm very proud of that.
Yes.
I mean, I sang, it was early on. It was actually the night that Princess Diana died.
Wow.
So it was 97. And I was in, out in the playa and there were 15,000 of us at that time. Now it's like 100,000, but I sang naked as Ishtar, the goddess of love, and an original opera. It was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
And she makes house calls.
That's amazing.
Well, a friend was very involved with the planning committee with Burning Man, and he just said, are you available? Are you available Labor Day week? And I said, yeah, I think I am. He said, well, have you ever sung for? And he said 10,000. And I said, no, but I can do it. And then he said, well, did I happen to mention this nudity involved? I'm like, it's only my body. It's not like it's my soul. Let's do it.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Good for you.
It was fantastic.
Well, it's so funny because years ago, I don't know if I should tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. So I performed for almost 15 years every summer at a nudist gathering. And I was performing as Carol Channing. And so someone told Carol Channing that I was performing at this nudist gathering. And Carol's response is, isn't that wonderful? He knows if they like him or not.
Oh, Carol.
True story. True.
That is hilarious.
I want to ask each of you, and hopefully David and Scott will figure out the issue. But I've got a question that I want to ask each of you, and I'll start with you, Sean. If you could design the ideal environment for the next chapter of your work, what would include, and what are you doing now to create that?
Oh, interesting. I mean, when I met Jeremy, immediately, who was my fiance, immediately I started having these like visions and meditating on what our dream home looks like, what our life in the future looks like. And it's just continuing to see it. I don't know how I'll be able to be part of obtaining it, but just seeing it and having the space for us to gather with our families. We both have very big families that love each other and love getting together. We both have very strong connections to our cultures. And so I see that space. I see where we are. And even the little house that we're renting right now, it feels like home. It feels, because it is home. And we have, I'm not in the office today. He's in the office. We have a little shared like shoebox office. On one side is a therapist office. The other side is a vocal studio, a podcasting studio, an audition studio. And so it's just kind of finding, I guess, the next space, the next evolution of what we have going on now.
Okay. That's great.
I love that.
Tess, same question.
I am in the environment that took me many, many years to manifest. I can't even believe my blessing that I'm here. I think the only thing personally that I know is coming is more involvement with the grandchildren. I have 6 of them, and they're kind of scattered. Only one is living here in Florida. So I think for me, emotionally and mentally and spiritually, I'd like the ability to be able to visit all of the rest of them more frequently, because I'm a Noni.
Good for you. And by the way, have you seen Nonis?
Oh my gosh.
Have you all seen this movie?
No.
Oh, you
Go
have
and
to.
watch this film. It is, and Lorraine Bracco. I turned to Danny and I said, "That's Tess La Bella."
Without
She
the
is. No, she is so incredible in this movie, and I did not realize this is her first comedy.
she is so fabulous. Thank you for that's the highest compliment ever. Thank you.
No, I mean, call Danny and ask him.
I will.
Said, that's Tess La Bella, you know. So, Diane, the same question.
Yeah. Well, I am looking to do even more intimate performances. I mean, it's pretty intimate, with these cabaret clubs, but I'm thinking just a guitar and just jazz. And I want to start singing in at wineries and come out to California and have it be nice and easy. And I can sing anywhere in the world that way. It'd be very easy. So I've got my music. I've set up all these jazz charts, and I'm excited to start working on it. But that is my plan, because I do want to sing in other places in the world. And I want it to just feel easy, to just do everything with ease. And no big production, something just easy.
Well, I'll tell you someone who's turning that into an art form, and that's Deborah Stone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My girl, Deb.
Yes, absolutely. So, Deb, if you're watching right now, she's in Maine. The pictures are gorgeous. So she's having a great time there. David, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me? We had
I can hear you.
Quite a thunderstorm. Yeah, we lost power. We've lost power twice in a thunderstorm here. So
well, I'm gonna ask you, and then I'm gonna let you go, because I know that you've got another event that you're going to right after this.
Right.
I give everyone a chance to have their final word. And before I even give my final word today, I'm going to ask you for your final word. It could be anything that we spoke about that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message you want to leave for everyone before you take off.
Well, I would thank you, Richard, for inviting me, and it was a joy to meet these other colleagues. And what I'd say is I've enjoyed everybody's input, and it seems very much that we are all similarly on the same page in terms of being appreciative of our world around us and the networks and the collaboration and the relationships that we have. And I continue to appreciate, Richard, our friendship and our relationship. And it was nice to meet all of you other folks today and hear about what you have going on in your lives.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you in New Rochelle in September.
Oh, please come, Richard.
Yes.
It would be great to have you there.
It's on my calendar, so I'm going to try to be there.
Thank
all right. David. Excellent.
Bye.
All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
So I want to give each of you a chance to have your final word of the day, as I just said, about anything we spoke about, anything we didn't, or just any final message that you want to leave everyone with. I've talked about this before, but I'll try to keep it brief, and why I made the decision to leave social media, besides the politics of what's going on out there. I was performing in Palm Springs, speaking of environments, one of my favorite places on God's earth. When I was in Palm Springs in January, I have a lot of friends there. And so Danny and I were going to lunch and breakfast and dinner. And I would go and I would leave my phone in the glove compartment of the car. My phone wasn't with me. I wasn't looking at my phone every few minutes. And I was realizing that this connection of being with my friends was the most incredible experience that I was having. And so I was really absolutely loving that aspect of it. And then I realized that I think that Facebook, especially more than the other platforms, I think, has given us a false sense of being connected, a really false sense of being connected. The algorithms of Facebook are very much different from what they were when I first got on Facebook, believe it or not, 14 years ago. And I could post that I'm going to see Diane D'Angelo on Thursday night at 7 o'clock at Chelsea Table and Stages, which is true. I'm going to be doing that. I'll be lucky if 4 people respond to that with a comment, not an emoji and not a like, but a real comment. You know, I saw Diane, I love this show, or I'll share this, or can I join you? I mean, any of those things, that's real human engagement.
Right.
And I think that's missing. By the same token, I could post, I just lost a button. And 40 people will respond with all kinds of things about where I lost the button, you know. So I find that people, you know, I have a dear friend, I'm not going to mention her name, I'm not going to out her, but right after, she knew that I was leaving social media. And back in February, after the Super Bowl, she posted on Facebook, I hated the Super Bowl halftime show. And then she told me that she was getting so many hate messages that people were accusing her of being a racist.
Right.
So I said, let's start at the beginning. Why did you have a need to go on social media to tell the world that you hated the Super Bowl show? That's the first question. And then the second question is, how many of the people that are responding to you actually know who you are? How many of those names can you mention by name that, that you actually know who they are? Because most of them are bots. And it's the way that social media is set up now. Right. And it is meant to divide us, and it's meant to cause discord. And people, my friends, are telling me, oh my God, I posted about my show and nobody's liked it. Nobody's shared it. Nobody's commented on it. And we put so much emphasis on the response that we're going to get from that other person as opposed to what we're bringing to the table. Great book. I've been recommending this book called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
Yes. Yeah.
Let them. Let them, let them, let them. One of the things that I've been doing since I left Facebook is each day I make a point of reaching out to 4 people in my database that I have not spoken to in a while. I can't begin to tell you how many people are no longer with us.
Right.
And I just yesterday, I reached out to great jazz aficionado, Jack Klingser. I don't know if any of you knew him, but he passed away just last month, and I didn't know it. And I think that also everyone thinks that if somebody passes away and they put it on Facebook, that the world's going to see it.
Right.
And they're not, because of the way your algorithms are set up. So as I do at the end of every one of my shows, I said, go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Yes. Go to your Facebook, go to your email list, and the 4th name that pops up that you actually know, somebody that you can pick up the phone and call, do it. Pick up the phone, call that person, and let them know why they matter in your life. And by doing so, you're going to make a difference in their lives. And it's important that we do this. And I want you all to tell me how that goes. Let me see if I can get Sean here for a second. Sean?
I'm here.
I mean, Scott? Scott? He's frozen. So I'm going to leave the screen. I'm going to turn it over to you, Sean. And when you finish, you'll pick the next person and the next person. And then I've got a little promo that I'm going to share about my upcoming shows. So everyone, thank you for being here. I love you all, and I really mean it. Go out and do something nice for somebody else today without expecting anything in return. Sean, it's all yours.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. Hello, hello. So for my final word, this has just been what I've been talking about all week from my experience that I shared at the top of the show, is to, right now, my wish for everyone is to remember your why. What are you here for? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, reconnect with that. And if the bitterness starts to creep in, if the tiredness, if the self-doubt, if the negative self-talk comes, step away. Take a nap, meditate, and focus on, why am I here doing this? Because when we return to our reason why we're doing something, it helps it makes that carrot at the end of the stick more attainable, and brings the love of why I am working these crazy, physically exhausting jobs, why I am doing all these side hustles to create, because this is what I love and this is what I'm called to this earth to do. So if I can leave you with one thing for this weekend, take some time and reconnect to your why.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. And I guess I'll turn it over to Tess.
Thank you. Diane, I loved hearing you saying I wanted to take that opportunity before we say goodbye.
Thank you, Tess.
You're welcome. Richard, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed myself today and felt very privileged to be a part of such a beautiful, beautiful group of people. But I also want to thank you for providing a safe space to come together and have community and conversations like these that are meaningful. And I do love you. And please tell Danny I love him too. And everybody have a really great, great weekend.
Hello. What I'd love to share is how thankful I am that we have this community of artists and singers and writers and creatives. The creative people are keeping this world sane. So thank you all for your contributions. And I'm so excited to be a part of it, and to have the support and the love from everyone is a beautiful thing. So Richard, thank you so much. I will see you Thursday. And if anyone else can make it to the show, Chelsea Table and Stage, 7 p.m. on the 17th. Thank you.
Me